Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Epic Marvel Podcast YouTube channel. It is Marvel Monday, and we are here today to talk about some stuff. Some of it will be Marvel, and some of it will not be Marvel. But yeah, looks like there is a bunch of people here already waiting for us, waiting for me in the chat here. Ryan and Adrian, JV, Logan, Mr. Tex, James, PS2 Gaming Forever, Steven, Batman, Rascal Wolf, Phil, Jason, and Kryptonite Kid. It they just it's great to see all of you. Really, it is. It is the end of June. Today is the last day of June. We have for me tomorrow is Canada Day, July 1st. Canada Day, and then for you Americans, I think there's something going on a little bit further down the week, a holiday for you as well. But since we're talking about Canada right off the bat here, I want to introduce you to a cartoonist, a Canadian cartoonist, because this is a segue into the first package I'm going to open up. Cart- there's a cartoonist. His name is Doug Wright, and he was a cartoonist in primarily the 50s and 60s. And this big book is a huge collection of his stuff. His work appeared in newspapers, um, Canadian newspapers. He had a vertical strip where you read it from the top to the bottom. And the really unique thing about this is that he accented all his work in red. So if you can get a close-up look at some of this stuff, it's got that kind of, if you know Dennis the Menace in the 50s, um, he's just a brilliant illustrator. Yeah, not just doing the comics or stuff, but look at some of these illustrations. Really, really beautiful work. Let me see, let's get some of this stuff back here. But he's got that 1950s modernist kind of a look to him, very kind of simplistic, a lot of straightforward lines. Yeah, I mentioned Dennis the Menace. It was a contemporary of his in the United States, and this strip is kind of like Dennis the Menace. It was called Doug Wright's Family, and it starred a little boy named Nipper. Yeah, Nipper, and he would kind of get into mischief, and so it was very similar um, to Dennis the Menace in that way. So there's that big book that collects some of the 50s and 60s, and then there are a couple of little smaller books um, where they reformatted the work so you could read it in a uh, um, horizontal, whatever orientation. And Steven says it looks like a book Seth might have had a hand putting together. You're absolutely right. In fact, he designed this cover. He designed both of those books for sure. Seth is a big fan of Nipper. Seth being another prominent Canadian cartoonist. He's really, really great. I like his stuff a lot. Everyone's saying Happy Canada Day. Thank you very much, everybody. Happy Canada Day to you too. Even if you are not in Canada, you can still have a happy Canada Day on July 1st. Am I excited for the Superman movie? Absolutely. I think it looks great. I'm going to go see it. I'm going to try to see it on opening night. Anyway, I'm talking about Nipper and Doug Wright's Family because my first package is not a book, but something else. And I'll show you in a second. Nowadays, Doug Wright, there's an award ceremony in Canada here called the Doug Wright Awards that celebrates Canadian cartoonists and Canadian comic book artists. And Doug Wright and Little Nipper is the mascot, so I got myself a Nipper shirt. I'm gonna wear that with pride because he is such a great Canadian cartooning icon there. So there we go. That's the first thing I wanted to show you. Nothing on the back, just Nipper. Check out the Doug Wright Awards because there is a bunch of good stuff that happens that gets selected every year in terms of Canadian cartooning. Okay, now I'm going to open up this package here. Actually, I don't even think I need the knife for this one. Maybe I do. Just a second. Just get it started there. This is Silver Surfer Epic Collection Volume 12, Into the Outer Void. And it's in pretty good shape, seeing that it only came in this little plastic mailer from Amazon. Not too bad, hey? Uh, this fills a hole in our Epic collections, in our Silver Surfer Epic collections, because the Silver Surfer Epics went from volumes. Let me see here. I gotta find them. Volumes 7, 8, and 9. Oh, it doesn't even fill a gap. And then they jumped over to volume 13, and now we're going backwards, and we have volume 12. And this collects. Um, let's see here. This collects Silver Surfer 111 to 122, plus Silver Surfer Dangerous Artifacts, and then the Silver Surfer Ashcan, Spider-Man Team Up number 2, and material from X-Men Unlimited number 13. It's kind of an odd combination of titles. We'll have to have a look inside. And a Marvel Holiday Special 1996. Okay. Yeah, actually, you're all right. Amazon shipping is quick, but not packaged great. You're right. There's maybe a little bit of a ding right there, but other than that, it looks just fine. And I'm not as picky on the condition as some people get, which is, means I can't resell these. That's all. Spider-Man Team Up featuring Silver Surfer. Spider-Man Team Up was a short-lived series in the 90s that featured actually Ben Reilly, the Ben Reilly Spider-Man. Um, I think it only lasted something like a small handful of issues, maybe under 10. And so this is a Silver Surfer starring issue here. Ben Reilly didn't get very many space adventures during his time as Spider-Man during the Clone Saga. And so I don't think he goes to space in this one either. But he teams up with Silver Surfer. Let's see here. Skip ahead a little bit. I want to know more about the Dangerous Artifacts one here. So this is Silver Surfer 111. And you can see in the corner here, in the corner box, there's this little symbol. The way Marvel was doing their editorial stuff at this time was they had split up all of their, they kind of siloed all of their different corners of the Marvel universe, and so like there would be one group editor that would oversee all of the Spider-Man books, for instance, and another one that would oversee all the X-Men ones, and another one that oversaw a bunch of like the Marvel horror or darker themed books, and then this one here, there was the one person who oversaw a lot of their cosmic stuff. And who was that? Let's have a look at the credits here in this first page. They don't have them. Oh yeah, this was also a period where they would have special fold out recap pages that they don't include in these books here. Executive editors Bob Budiansky and Mark Grunwald. So I'm assuming that was probably those were the guys who were in charge of these ones here. Okay, let's go back here. So this is actually a period of Silver Surfer that was written by George Perez. He didn't do the artwork; he was just the writer. And I don't really know him as a writer, mostly just as a penciler, as an illustrator. So I'm looking forward to checking this out to see how he is just in the writing duties. A lot of people have said it's not his strongest stuff, so I'm not sure. I guess we'll have to see for ourselves. How much is that Surfer in the Window? That kind of thing is very reminiscent of the way Jim Starlin was treating Silver Surfer back in the day. So this is Tom Greinberg does the artwork in these issues. And it looks okay. It's pretty typical of the 90s, I think, at this point. A lot of the early digital coloring on this. Look at that. Is that a female Silver Surfer I see? Could that be a reason why this volume in particular is coming out at this time to coincide with a certain movie that's coming out. I don't know. Could be. Let's see. What else is in here? Where is that one shot that I wanted to look at? Dangerous artifacts. This bad guy's name is the Unilord. Has a nice 3D computer generated logo on the front here, which is also replicated on the cover here. I'm pretty sure I've said this before. I've never really been a Silver Surfer fan uh, until I read the epics. I never really touched on the character at all buying when I was buying monthly comics. But the epics have really opened my eyes to the greatness of this character. He's got some amazing runs. Okay, X-Men Unlimited, guest starring Silver Surfer, Fugitive from Space. This is just material from, so I'm assuming there's a backup story that didn't get collected in here. This one's also written by George Perez as well, so it should fit right in with the continuity of the book, which is kind of nice. But it has, let's see who the artist is on this, because it has a very, very mid to late 90s look to it. Pencils by Rouleau, Califoré, and Robinson. Um, but if you look at that, it looks very similar to the type of stuff that was coming out in X-Men with like Carlos Pacheco and um, Roger Cruz and all those guys. They're all doing similar stuff. So this unlimited issue is definitely following suit in all of that. Look at that, Galactus. There you go. So two more volumes of Silver Surfer. Well, that would be three more volumes. Volume 2, Volume 10, and Volume 11. My lamp keeps falling down here. However, there could be volumes after as well. There is stuff after Volume 14. So it kind of depends on where they're going to start the modern era epic collections. So I think there could be still one more, maybe even two more volumes that gets us up to the Annihilation era. And I think Annihilation is where they would start modern Silver Surfer. That's my guess. He had a couple of short-lived series between the cancellation of this one and his appearance in Annihilation. So I'm guessing that those will appear in the classic books as well. So there might be maybe 4 or 5 more volumes of Silver Surfer. Oh, a Christmas issue. I do like the Christmas ones. I'm a little sucker for the holiday specials. There's the cover to that one. Looks like Wolverine has some bone claws. That's a Mark Ringo image there. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. Ron Mars and Claudio Castanelli, Dangerous Artifacts. Now, if you remember Claudio Castanelli's name, because Ron Mars and Castanelli both did Marvel versus DC, that miniseries that came out around this time. And Carlos Castanelli is, or was, I don't, yeah, is, I guess, an incredible penciler. He puts so much detail. He's from Italy or something like that, somewhere in Europe, and and this is kind of when they are first starting to explore a lot of the overseas artists rather than finding more talent, homegrown talent, because there are some amazing artists out there just all over the world. But this guy was apparently really slow, and so it took a long time for these things to come out. I think this book was supposed to come out a lot sooner than it actually did. Let's see if I can find. Here's a cool page. Kind of a little bit too busy, I think, almost. You get a little bit lost in the flow of action because there's just a lot going on. I'm gonna have to spend some time reading through it to see if that's actually the case, or if it's just because I'm only flipping through it and only glancing at things. But that's cool. So they end off they end off the volume with that. And here is the ash can. Ash cans were throwaway comics, like promo comics. They're called ash cans because that's a name for an old-fashioned name for a garbage can. And so the idea was that they'd release these and then you just kind of throw it in the garbage because it wasn't an actual comic. But it looks like it's recapping Silver Surfer's origin story and some of his famous villains. Not exactly sure what the point of this one was because they were kind of just canceling his title at the time, so I don't know what the ash can was meant for exactly. But then yeah, bonus pictures, Hildebrandt's. That's pretty cool. Bob Wakeland does this portrait here. Who remembers these ads? I remember those. And then Time Slip. Reimagining characters if they were in like 1950s horror movies, maybe. Not exactly sure what that means. I'll have to read it. And then some original art scans from Scott Eaton and Tom Greinberg. There's one of the Roger Robinson pages from the X-Men Unlimited. This is material that hasn't really ever been collected before. This is the first time it's appearing in a collection. And what were you saying, Axel? Is that the Enslavers graphic novel? No, it's not Enslavers. Let me see if I can get back to the beginning of that and show you the cover. It's called Dangerous Artifacts. There it is. Dangerous Artifacts by Ron Mars and Claudio Castanelli. This is 1995 and 1996. So this is after all of the Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War, Infinity Crusade stuff, after the Herald ordeal, and then we're getting into the kind of the winding down of his main series. It lasts a couple more volumes, but it starts to peter out a little bit. Okay, Why the Last Nerd says, my guess is modern era will begin with the 2003 series Communion. That's possible. Absolutely. It would make sense either way. They could either start because I think that's the thing that comes right after the last volume that's come up, volume 14, um, which is called, what was it called? Sunrise and Shadowfall. I think that's the volume that comes out right after that. So they could make that a classic one, or they could make it a modern one. It could go either way, based on how they've been doing kind of the other books. Okay, we're gonna keep on motoring along. I got a box in the mail today, just a few hours ago, and I have no idea what's in it. It could be anything. It's it's kind of light, so I don't think it's an epic collection. Or if it is, it's a very thin one. But I'm going to be surprised. Just come on, camera, focus in here. Focus. Come on. There we go. It is a Marvel Premiere Collection, Civil War. This is about, if I had to guess based on how heavy that box was, I was going to guess it was one of these books. So this, if you are not familiar with this line, it is a series of collections that are just a bit smaller than your standard collection. This is the same size. This is the size comparison to a standard comic book. It's a little smaller in dimension, in order to keep the price point down a little bit, and it also helps stock them on bookshelves a little bit better. So, and they're collecting some of the more popular modern runs of Marvel Comics. And I know Phil absolutely loves this series. It's one of his all-time favorites. He really, really likes Civil War. Um, So just like the war itself, there are people on both sides who think that this comic is great and people who absolutely despise it. So um, you'll have to guess for yourself or see for yourself where you fall in that line. But it's still popular, and it was a game changer for comics at the time. It was definitely something that when it came out, people took notice. It got a lot of attention, and people like it was one of those books at the very beginning of the big event era of Marvel, where all the heroes would be in the big miniseries, and the spillover from the events in this book would go through all of the different titles. Um, yeah, here you go. Steven says Civil War is one of the best events I've read, hoping for an epic that collects every issue and tie-in. So there are people who love it and people who hate it, and that's okay. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. You can love it and you can hate it. It's absolutely fine. I loved it when I first came out. I haven't read it since, but what I have been reading, so I can't remember how it holds up. I don't remember very much, except for like the major plot beats of the story, like this one right here. Um, but what I have been reading is the tie-in issues that have fallen in the modern era epic collections recently, and some of them are actually all of them that I've read are really good. The they have been very, very smart with their tie-ins. And so there's a Captain America volume that has the Captain America issues where people are trying to persuade him to join Tony's team, and they're just really, really well told. Not high on action. It's a lot more uh introspective, and like, why am I doing what I'm doing, and what does it mean to be a hero, and that kind of stuff. And I thought they're very, very well written. The ones in New Avengers are also really well written, because they each focus on a different person going through the motions of like, what are the implications for me, how does it make how am I affected by the side that I'm taking of all of this. And it's just yeah, it's really good. So the actual main mini series, as far as I remember, is just kind of non-stop wall-to-wall action, and should be a fun read. I'm gonna have a good time revisiting this. And just like Steven said, um, I think this should be, hopefully will be, a modern era epic collection as well. Like they're doing now with the Annihilation stuff. They've put uh they got two volumes covering the whole Annihilation series, and one of them's already out and the other one's coming out in a little while. And if we can get more of those events, that would be great, because Marvel is not putting these events in the actual epic collections. And I think because they don't feature one character in particular, and so instead of putting this in a Captain America epic collection and an Iron Man epic collection and an Avengers epic collection, they're just going to leave it aside and use some text recaps in the actual epic collections to bring you up to speed, saving these for standalone collections. Because let's face it, a Civil War branded epic collection will definitely sell. This is a still one of Marvel's top evergreen books. So there you go. They did Bill Foster dirty in this series. Need to bring him back. Yeah. I would love for Marvel to copy DC Finest with event epics, but Marvel outside of Omnis hasn't really collected the entire event. Yes, Stephen, you should check out Annihilation. That's the first one that they're doing that is an event epic. We're going to see how that plays out and what it means for future releases. Check out Annihilation. And Tony, after 40 years of fighting against government interference, suddenly becomes a government shield. Yeah, sure. Stick it up your repulsors, Mark Miller. I reread it, and recently it's one of the dumbest comics I ever read. Captain America giving in because of America's real heroes, the first responders, is vile post 9/11 propaganda. Whoa, okay. Well, I don't despise it, but by no means do I think it's good. One of the few times where the film is better than the comic. Wow, okay. Oh, and I read that one. Yeah. And so you can see everybody's polarized on this. Some people love it, some people hate it. Annihilation was different in that it was minis and one book. Plus, they had these as complete collections before. Yes, that is a good point. We'll see. I think maybe it's just testing the waters to see if something will come out. But yeah, Civil War with all the tie-ins, that would be a great thing, especially for books like the Frontline, on the Frontline, that don't really have a spot anywhere else. Like, where else are those going to get collected? Let's have them in a bigger epic collection series. That would be great. Okay. Well, they got all the covers in here. There's a lot of bonus features in here. It looks like maybe the last fifth of the book is all bonus features. It's got a lot of original art, and it's got all of these different covers. Of course, uh, Michael Turner was doing covers, a lot of covers for these. There's his famous Civil. Why does my camera keep unfocusing? And along with his original art as well, so that's kind of cool. McNiven covers. Um, it looks like just the pencil work, but with a book this small, and then you're shrinking the pages down to 4 per page, can't see it very well. But they've got a lot of that stuff in there. Look at that. Some more variant covers of some of the tie-in covers. They all had a very specific look with that half of it being a big block of color. There we go. Sorry, just joining now. Do we know if Silver Surfer's classic epic line is planning on including Cosmic Powers Unlimited? I don't think it is, because we would have. Uh, there isn't space for it based on what they've already released. So I don't think that we are going to get Cosmic Powers Unlimited in there, unfortunately. That would be. I would love it if it did, but we'll have to find another way to collect that, maybe in a standalone. Oh, there was a standalone collection of that, wasn't there? Cosmic Powers wasn't, or maybe it was just called Cosmic Powers. I can't remember. Yeah. How did you find Annihilation, Kurtis? Did you enjoy it? And does it contain the Annihilation event or just the minis leading up to it? The first volume that has already come out only has the mini series that lead up to the event. The actual event is going to be in volume 2. And so far, I've really been enjoying it. I've read Drax, and I've read Nova, and I've read Silver Surfer, and all of those stories are really great. I quite enjoyed them. I haven't gotten to Super Skrull yet, and then I believe the lead off story in Volume 2 is Ronan the Accuser. How many epics will cover Annihilation? 2. 2 epics will cover Annihilation. So I believe the volume that's coming out in a few months, let me just check the release date on that. In October, volume 2 is coming in October. That should be the end of the Annihilation event. The only question is, are they going to continue to give us more, like, into the Conquest stuff? Because Annihilation leads right into Annihilation Conquest. Who knows? I guess time will tell. Time Slip was a feature in Marvel Vision promo magazine where an artist would reinvent a character however they wanted. Very cool. I like that. Okay, cool. Can you let us know what you thought when you finished it, please? Yes, absolutely. Um, I will. I will absolutely let you know. You want an X-Men animated epic? Yeah, well, they just had an Omni collecting that stuff, right? Or what? Maybe not Omni. I think maybe it was Thick Trades, something like that. But that stuff has been reprinted pretty quickly, recently. So I don't know that it'll come to Epic Collection anytime soon. There was also Annihilation Classic, which was a reprint of old books under the same banner. Yeah, that they are not going to include that in the Epic collections. They'll save that for the individual titles. Okay, let's see here. What did we talk about today? It was a quick stream because I have a family dinner to get to tonight, so I had to start a little early. And but we talked about this Epic Collection, Silver Surfer Into the Outer Void, which has a bunch of stuff from 1995 and 1996. And we talked about Civil War. Everybody was giving their opinions in the chat about how much they either liked it or didn't like it. And then I also brought up Master Canadian cartoonist Doug Wright, because I got a shirt. I don't even know where it went. I bought a shirt that has this little character's head on it, and he's the mascot of the Doug Wright Awards, which is the Canadian Comics Awards ceremony. So anyway, that's it for today. Sorry, it's got to be short and sweet, because I've got stuff to do and places to go, but I didn't want to leave you in the lurch. So everybody, today, read an Epic Collection. Tomorrow, especially if you're in Canada and you have the day off, read a bunch of Epic Collections. And then later on, all you Americans, on the 4th of July, you can read your Epic Collections then when you have the day off. So happy holidays to everybody. It's been great chatting with you. Thanks for being part of the chat today. Please like this video and subscribe if you haven't already, because that's always a good thing to do. So thanks for paying attention, and I'll be back next week with some more Epic Collections and maybe even a DC Finest. I'm not sure if that'll come in time, but we'll see. Thanks, everyone.